What's going on, guys? The TNT Muffin here. Today, Funko has just revealed their Fanverse Plushies. So what I'm going to be doing is another one of those videos where I take my concepts and compare them to the new plushies. So let's just get started. Actually, before we start, if you enjoy these types of videos, please leave a like down below, and also maybe leave a comment saying which one of these three is going to be your favorite. So yeah, as you can see, we are in the Five Nights at Candy's location right now. So let's start off with the Candy plushie. So here is the official one, and then here is my concept. They actually do look surprisingly similar. I expected them to look completely different, but there are some differences that I'll go over. They do both have like pretty much all the details. They both got the ears, which are honestly pretty similar eyebrows, just the size difference is a bit different. The eyes completely different. Talk about that in a second. You know, they've all got the different coloration, both the cheeks, the freckles, the nose, the little teeth, both have the tie, little belly color. It's different. A difference though on the the accent colors is that on my concept I actually put a lighter color on the feet and the hands, where this one actually just made it completely blue. Although aesthetically I feel like it doesn't look as good to have it completely blue, I think it is more accurate to the actual Candy model. Like I said, the eyes are very different. As you can see, I used like the sewn in eyes that Funko has been doing recently, but even more recently they have started doing the little popping out eyes again, which is interesting. Because, they did that for the first few waves of plushies, and then they started doing the sewn-in ones, and they kind of stuck with that for a long time. But very recently, like you can see with the tie-dye wave, they have been doing these little popping out eyes again. So that's pretty interesting. I'm wondering if they're going to continue with that trend like in future waves, or if they're just testing it out. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I personally feel like the sewn-in eyes might be a little bit better for detailing and also like consistency, because with the popping out eyes, they do sometimes look a little wonky, cross-eyed and stuff like that. But I mean, it is a pretty opinion-based thing, I suppose. I will say though, with them doing the popping out eyes, I feel like it fits better with the plush because of how they did it, where, I had the outside being the accent color, like the white part of his face. They were actually able to make that, just part of the plush, and then the eyes are a separate thing. So I feel like in that way, this one for sure better, because it does have that detailing. It's not just like the coloration around the eyes, it actually is part of the face like Candy in the games. They also did do like a more vibrant blue, which is nice. The eyebrows are very small. Like, I thought I made mine small, they made them tiny, but it still does look good. The only thing I'm not exactly sure about is the nose and the freckles on the official one. I can't tell if they're printed on or actually like sewn in. If they're sewn in, pretty awesome, like pretty perfect plushie, just nothing printed on color. Because as you can see, the white part isn't printed in, which is awesome. I was pretty sure they would do that. So yeah, this is a very cool plushie. I think it is better than my concept. Very surprised by it, honestly. Like, I knew it was gonna look good, but I think it looks really good. So let's get rid of Candy now, and let's actually move on to the Pop Goes Pizzeria. Of course, now that we are in the Pop Goes Pizzeria, let's talk about our boy Pop Goes with the official one here and my concept here. Now this one, they are clearly a lot different. The Candy ones were pretty similar. These two, very different, or at least, the heads. The bodies are kind of similar. So starting off with the head, let's look at the detailing. The hats are pretty similar. I mean, there's not much different you can do with the hats, so that makes sense. The head shape itself, I did make mine like a little more skinny. This one like very round, which is, I'd say, more accurate to Pop Goes, so that's pretty cool. The ears, mine are a little bit different. I feel like mine might be more accurate to the game, but these do look good, so I think they did good with that. The eyebrows, again, are very small on the official one, but they look good. The eyes, again, I made them sewn in. They had like the bulging out ones, which this time I feel like didn't work that well, because they did do the same thing again, where they had that coloration around the eyes as part of the plush head itself and not part of the eyes like I had. But they are printed on this time, and also I feel like it would have been better the way I did it. Also, they don't have the black around the eyes, which I had. It is, just the eyes on the coloration part, which does look good, but I feel like might not be as accurate. The accent color on the head, unfortunately, seems to be printed on, which is kind of surprising, because the Candy plush, they didn't do that, but this guy, he does have the printed on stuff, which is unfortunate, but I guess it still looks pretty good. Again, he's got the fangs, the snout area. We both actually gave them like the sewn in nose. Like I said with the Candy one, I wasn't sure if like the nose and the freckles were sewn in or not, and this guy, they definitely are. I'm pretty sure, at least. They do definitely look like they're sewn in, not printed on. Now onto the body. Like I said, they do look pretty similar. It was kind of hard to find a good vest to put on the plushie, so my vest obviously doesn't look as good as the official one. Maybe not obvious though, that actually is super cool, because usually with stuff like this, For example, the Captain Foxy plush, they just print on the whole thing. But for Popgo's, they did actually give him, like, the vest with the buttons and the bow tie, and it looks really good. Yeah, like, the body in this dude is super good. It's, like, pretty much perfect. Really cool. But yeah, so overall, I mean, theirs does have a lot of printed on color. I feel like it might look a little bit more like Popgo's in-game. So yeah, it is a very cool plushie. I'm excited for it to release. So now, let's get rid of Popgo's, and let's move out of this arcade section and move into the main area of the pizzeria to look at Blake. Here's the official one, here is my concept. So Blake the Badger, this is an interesting one because Funko, for some reason, actually decided to use the Popgo's model from the 2016 game, whereas I used the one from Evergreen, which makes sense because, you know, the Popgo's was the one from Evergreen, so I'm not sure why they used the classic Blake. Kind of strange. It's actually pretty interesting because with the Popgo's plush, Kane Carter was in contact with Funko and telling them how to make it look good, but with the Blake plush, Funko did it all on their own, so it was, you know, they kind of messed up, made it a little bit strange. Kane had no idea it was even being made. So now that, you know, Kane has finally seen the design, they have decided to apparently, like, stop shipments of it. So, like, all the stuff that's already been shipped out to GameStops and stuff like that is going to be sold, but then after that, they're going to stop making them, and apparently maybe in the future make a new one with the Popgo's Evergreen model. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, onto the plushies themselves. You can see the head shape on this guy is pretty round because they did use the Popgo's 2016 model, whereas I used the Evergreen one, so my head shape is more like the actual character's head shape. Looking at the ears, you know, Funko printed them on. Looking at the black coloration in the face, Funko printed them on. The eyebrows, they're honestly pretty similar. Again, they made them a little bit smaller, but still looks pretty good. The eyes, again, they have popping out. In this case, I feel like it does work decently with it. I, again, you know, had them sewn in. Still like a preference-based thing. They did give it the eyelids, which might look a little bit better on Blake. Then the snout area, again, they did like a sewn-in nose instead of doing the plastic ones that they usually do, which is interesting. I think it does look pretty good, more of like the actual shape of Blake's nose, honestly. The teeth, I give them the 2, you know, like they do with all plushies. Interestingly, for Blake, they actually gave him, like, what is that, 4, 5 teeth? Which is interesting, because, I mean, like, Popgo's we saw before only had the 2 teeth. So it is interesting that they gave him, like, 5. He looks kind of goofy, but I like the detail. And then onto the body, so they don't have much detailing on it. They just have, like, the different coloration, because, you know, Blake, pretty basic body, just a little bit of different coloration, or, like, you know, parts, like, jutting out a bit. So they didn't have much detail to add, so it is mostly a black body. That is kind of the same as what I did. It's hard to get the detailing on Blake because he's wearing like a belt, a lanyard that's kind of hard to make into plush form, so I kind of just gave him the belt and then a little bit of different coloration. So the bodies aren't that different, they're pretty similar actually, but looking at the heads themselves, you know, Funko didn't do that good. I think my concept is fair to say better, because I mean I did actually use the Evergreen model. They did the Popgo's 2016 model for some reason. So yeah, pretty interesting. These plushies are actually super cool. I already pre-ordered all of them by going into GameStop and asking if I could pre-order them. Super excited to get them. I believe they're coming out on the 25th, or at least that's when they're going to be officially up to order. Not sure if that's when they're actually going to be like out to go into stores and buy. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, getting rid of these guys. This is a pretty cool wave of plushies. Very excited for it. Hopefully these things sell really well and Funko ends up making more Fanverse merch in the future. I do really hope Funko makes more stuff. That would be super cool to have more Fanverse merch. But that is the end of the video. If you want to subscribe, click the button on top of my head. If you want to watch my last video similar to this one, you can click that button over there. And if you want to see some other video I made, click that button over there. And I'll see you next time I do a video like this.